Yeah, nice to have you here, Dr. Rattew. We're so excited.
I'm
Welcome.
excited to be here. Thank you, Dr. Joe.
It is my pleasure. And you've got a new book out there. Tell us about the new book.
I'd be happy to. First, I think your listeners deserve some disclosure, which is that we actually know each other. And when I was training to be a psychiatrist, Dr. Joe was one of my faculty mentors. So
Ah,
we go way back.
it's true. Thank you for the disclosure. And we had fun back then. It was a great, and hopefully you learned something and applying it, and then just building from there, your own style.
I did. I learned a lot. But about the book, yeah, one of the jokes I think a lot of us say in our field, and parents will say this too, is that there are no manuals on how to raise kids. And in a sense, that's true. Uh, but in a sense, it's completely untrue. We are, in some ways, bombarded by instruction manuals all the time. I mean, you just look on the internet and books and articles. The problem is they often say different things. Sometimes they'll say exactly the opposite thing, right? If your little 5-year-old throws a toy at his sister, one person says, "Well, give them a timeout." Another person says, "No, give them a time in." Another one says, "No, put the toy in timeout." Another one says, "No, go get a glass of wine and let them figure this out themselves." Right? So for the parent who's, you know, you can get confused trying to figure out what to do. And so what I wanted to do with this book is in a non-technical, non-judgmental way, summarize what the science really says about the kinds of things that parents are wondering about all the time: sleep training, screens, discipline, fussy eating. And when the answer is it depends, and often it depends, I wanted to talk about kind of a one size does not fit all model of parenting and not assume that the quote correct answer is the same for all kids, because every parent will tell you that kids are different. But for some reason, most parenting advice doesn't really tackle that head on. And they give advice as though everyone's the same and we should apply advice universally. And the science doesn't suggest that that's always the way to go. And I wanted to try to outline that in the book.
I think that's such a wonderful approach. You're right. If there was one way to parent, there would be one book, and there are bookshelves and bookshelves and bookshelves of books. So the
Absolutely. I mean, every parent. I mean, you can try one method, and it is an incredible success with one kid, and you think you could do exactly the same thing, and it's a spectacular failure for the second. And I
right,
think everyone has that experience.
it is so true. With the four kids that Carol and I have, each one required a different approach. One of the things I like to say is, for a parent, it is much more rewarding to be amazed at who your child is than disappointed in who they are not, because they will amaze you. Just look, just
Right,
look.
especially if you're not trying to push them into some box and kind of let them unfold in the way that they want to go. They still need your guidance, but they're the one generating the momentum.
Agreed. And so the title of the book reflects this.
Yeah, and that book, the title of the book was somewhat controversial. I had more than one person tell me that from a marketing standpoint, the title "Parenting Made Complicated" is not going to be a great seller. And I can see that. I actually think the book makes things less complicated rather than more. And I really do try to offer quite a bit of practical, everyday advice that can help guide parents. But I wanted, maybe a better title would have been "Parenting is Complicated" rather than "Made Complicated." But that's what we got, and we'll see how it goes.
I think it's a great title, because I think it will resonate with a lot of people. Look, if you pick up a book saying "Parenting Made Simple," you're going to feel not good, because whoa, it is not simple. So I think the title is perfect.
Good. I'm glad you like it. I hope people do.
Now, go ahead, Mark.
Who makes it complicated?
I think life makes it complicated, right? I mean, there are so many moving parts when it comes to parenting. There is the kid's personality, there's your personality, there's your partner's personality if you have one. There's, all the circumstances behind your life. There's all the events that happen. And, there are so many different moving parts. It makes it hard to sort of say, yeah, just do this with everyone and it'll work out fine.
So, what inspired you to write the book?
Oh, this is an interesting story. I was at our institution. I'm not sure if you're still there, Dr. Joe, but I was at getting training from an incredible place, really a world-class psychiatric education. And I had been taught about everything from different types of psychotherapies to Oedipus complexes to neuroscience to, you name it. And I was working in psychotherapy with a little boy, and I was talking to the mom, and we were trying to understand why he was struggling a little bit. And mom just very legitimately and sort of casually said, my husband and I are just not getting a lot of sleep right now because we have another child at home, and she doesn't sleep well. And oh, by the way, a friend told me that I should Ferberize my kid. But then somebody said that may not be a good idea. What do you think, doctor? What do we know about that? And I just was, I was going through all the lectures that I had and thinking, we never covered this. I didn't know what to say to this parent. And I first thought, well, maybe there's no science behind it. Maybe this is all just kind of made up, or maybe there's science and I just don't know about it. And so this inspired me to sort of look into these parenting debates and controversies. And sad to say, now that that kid has probably graduated college, I could probably give this parent a good answer.
That's terrific story. I mean, parenting certainly can be complicated, but I'll tell you one thing that is not complicated is our sponsors, because they are straightforward. They tell you what they've got and they tell you what they have to offer. So let's do this, Ben. Let's take our first commercial break. We'll be right back with Parenting Made Complicated.
Stretch the canvas, rush with madness. Is it sadness or just a show that